Okay, so I'm going to walk you through everything since this is your first lab that you're doing. So let's look at the ingredient list first. You need 1 cup of flour, 2 teaspoons of baking powder, 2 teaspoons of sugar, 2 teaspoons of garlic powder, a 1/4 teaspoon of salt, a 1/4 cup of butter, which also equals 1/2 of a stick, a 1/2 cup of milk, a 1/2 cup of shredded cheddar cheese, or any other shredded cheese that you have. Okay. For the toppings, you're going to need 2 tablespoons of butter, a 1/4 teaspoon of dried parsley, and a 1/4 teaspoon of garlic powder. Okay, so remember the first thing that we want to do is read through all of our directions. So that's what we're going to do right now. We're going to want to preheat our oven to 450. This will be the first thing on the list all of the time because that's the first thing you want to do. The oven takes a while to get to 450, so it's important that you do that first thing so you're not waiting around for it to heat up. You're going to melt the butter in a microwave for 15 seconds or until it is melted. Make sure that you cover your butter with a paper towel. Okay, or your parents are going to be very upset with how dirty their microwave is. In a large mixing bowl, combine flour, baking powder, sugar, garlic powder, and salt. Whisk until combined. Then you're going to add the melted butter and milk into the flour mixture and whisk just until the flour is all wet. Make sure to not overmix. After that, you're going to add the cheese and fold in with a rubber scraper or a wooden spoon. Using a 1/4 cup dry measuring cup, you're going to scoop the batter and drop it onto a greased jelly roll pan or cookie sheet. Make sure that it is greased so your biscuits come off. After that, you're going to bake the biscuits for 10 to 12 minutes or until they are golden brown. Then, while the biscuits are in the oven, you're going to melt the 2 tablespoons of butter that you set aside. Again, make sure that you cover it. Okay. After it's melted, you're adding the parsley and garlic powder and just mixing it up. Once the biscuits come out of the oven and they are warm, you're going to brush the butter mixture over the top of each biscuit. If you do not have a brush, it is completely fine. You can spoon it over. Just make sure that you keep enough for each biscuit. So since the first thing that the directions tell me to do is to preheat the oven, that's the first thing I'm going to do. So everybody's oven is going to be a little bit different. I'm going to press bake, type in 450, and press bake again. Now it is preheating. Make sure that you are preheating, okay? Before that, I should mention that the first thing you want to do is make sure to wash your hands, okay? For at least 15 seconds with warm water. Also, your hair needs to go up if it is long. So if you have long hair like me, you should put your hair up first and then wash your hands. Okay, so the first thing that we are going to need is a cup of flour. So to get a cup of flour, you're going to measure it like this. You're going to stick your cup in, make sure that your cup is clean, fill it, and level it off. So make sure that it's leveled. You're not packing it, it's not brown sugar, so just level it off, and it can go in your mixing bowl. Okay. Next, you're going to need baking powder, and you need 2 teaspoons. Make sure that you are using teaspoons and not tablespoons. You do not want to use that much. Okay, so baking powder is the same. Hopefully you can see that. You are leveling it off, and you can put it in the mixing bowl or you can put it on a separate one. It depends how you're going to take your mise en place picture. Okay, level it off. That's 2 teaspoons. Okay, you also need 2 teaspoons of sugar. So we're going to put the baking powder lid back on and go to the sugar. Make sure that you wipe or clean off your teaspoon if you're using the same one. Okay, sugar, you need 2 teaspoons. Okay, so you're leveling it off again and then putting it in your separate measuring bowl, or if you want to mix it already, you can. Okay, make sure you're using the flat side of the knife. And we'll put that off to the side. Then you need 2 teaspoons of garlic powder. So again, you're gonna make sure that your teaspoon is clean. And then you're gonna go in. You can take the whole lid off. So it makes it a little bit easier. Leveling this off might be a little messy. Okay, 2 of them. Next, you need a 1/4 teaspoon of salt, and some of you might not have 4 teaspoons, so you can either try and eyeball it by using a 1/2 teaspoon, or you can just do a pinch of salt. Okay, be really careful not to over salt it. And I'm gonna put that in a separate bowl just so I can show you all. Okay, you also need a 1/4 cup of butter, which is a 1/2 stick, so I have already cut that in half. And try and stay clean as you go, that way at the end you don't have a whole lot to pick up. Next, you need a 1/2 cup of milk, so you're going to find the 1/2 cup on the glass, or make sure you're using a liquid measuring cup. Yours might be plastic. Okay, and you're gonna pour and make sure to eyeball it to make sure it is half, so you're getting down on the level just to check. And we'll just leave that in there for now. And you also need a 1/2 cup of shredded cheese. I like to use the sharp cheddar, but you can use regular cheddar, you can use Monterey Jack, use whatever you have. Okay. And you'll make sure that your measuring cup is clean. If you are dipping in, might be easier to just pour out depending on the size. Just try not to make a big mess. I'm gonna use my hands because I know that my hands are clean. And since I am working at home, my husband and I are the only ones eating these. Okay. Just fill it up to the top, and we'll leave that on the side for now. For the butter topping, you're going to also need another 2 tablespoons of butter. Leave this stuff on the side so you don't accidentally mix it in. So just so you know, on the side of the butter, there's tablespoons, so you can just cut off what you need. Okay, you're going to need a 1/4 teaspoon of garlic powder. This is extra to what you already have. And you also are going to need a 1/4 teaspoon of parsley. Let me find my parsley here. And you can put these both in the same little dish. You're going to melt the butter eventually and mix the butter into it. Sorry, I've got to open this here. Okay, this you don't have to level off, just kind of shake it a little. Okay, and throw it in there. Then we'll set that and the 2 tablespoons of butter off to the side. Okay, so to take your mise en place picture, you can take it just like this now. Maybe do a long shot. Okay, try and get that in there, but make sure it's off to the side. And now you are ready to begin. Okay, so the first thing the directions tell you to do is to, after preheating the oven, you're going to melt the butter in the microwave for 15 seconds. So here is my big thing of butter. You're not using the 2 tablespoons of butter yet. We're gonna put it in the microwave for 15 seconds. Remember, we are going to cover it. I have one of these microwavable covers. If you have one of those, you can use it. Otherwise, cover it with a paper towel so it doesn't splatter everywhere. While that's going, in a large mixing bowl, which I already have the flour in, we're going to combine the baking powder. So make sure you know which is which. This is baking powder here. It's powdery substance. So baking powder, the sugar, and the garlic powder and salt. Salt is here. Make sure all of it comes out. And garlic powder. Okay. And it says whisk until combined. So we're gonna whisk it up like this until you don't see colors of the garlic anymore. Okay, so it'll look like that. It shouldn't take very long. Now you are going to add the melted butter and the milk and whisk until the flour is wet. Make sure that you aren't over mixing. So, my butter did not melt in 15 seconds, so I'm gonna try another 15 seconds. I'm also going to add the milk right now and start mixing that while we're waiting for the butter. Let me move this just a little bit so you can see better. So you're mixing it up, trying to get it. Sometimes I feel it's easier to use a wooden spoon. I know that the directions don't say that.